Hey everyone, it's me Donna. I want to talk about some ideas that I've got. One idea that I have is it deals with streaming networks. So I'm talking to you folks out there, YouTube, Peacock, Pluto, Sling, Paramount, Philo, all of you out there. I want to run this by you and see if maybe there's a chance that someone would consider this and like do this, and that would be to run some retro channels, say like on the streaming network, such, I'll use this as an example, Pluto. Like, this is their lineup right here, which is pretty cool. They've got all these different channels that they're running on their network. What would be awesome is if a group of, one or more would do a thing that's just specifically retro channels that deal with people of certain age groups from certain time frames. And one example would be to call it like Flash 40s or Flash 60s or Flash 80s or Flash 90s. And if it's for teens, put teens on it. And if it's for, children, it could be labeled kids. If it's adults, then of course adults. And have it for certain types of programming. One thing that they could do for children, as far as like your day-to-day programming, say, Monday through Friday, they could run things like in the morning times, they could run retro shows of, say, Electric Company, Reading Rainbow, Sesame Street, just things of that time frame that were running in the mornings before all these crazy groups got involved and put a stop to children's programming. And messed up things with the cereal commercials and all that. There were some groups back then that got involved in all that and messed all that good stuff up. But it would be neat, say like for children, to run this in the morning times and then run other programmings in the evening times. Maybe the after school evening cartoons that, people used to watch. Like I remember from my childhood, coming home and watching Heathcliff, let's see, DuckTales, all that type of stuff. I got to do that, and then, there was other programmings later on that can be, included in that. And then the same thing with young adults. You could have, your different programming, and then like in the evenings, you could do after school specials from that time frame. And then like for, and then like in the evenings, like run some of the favorite TV shows. So like for the 80s, like shows like Miami Vice and Golden Girls and all that stuff, which that's for just about any age group right there. You could run that on both the teenage as well as the adult stations, maybe even within the same time frame or whatever, in the late evenings, nighttime, whatever. That would be kind of neat. And like for the children, like on Saturdays and Sundays, run cartoons, kind of like how it was in the 80s. Your Saturday morning cartoons. Same thing for the 60s, because I think like in the 60s, 70s and 80s and 90s, kids actually had the joy of watching those Saturday morning cartoons. That was a wonderful time to be alive, I think. So it'd be neat if a channel could bring that back. Let's see. And for like some of the adult channels, they could put like the soap operas during the day, Days of Our Lives, all that from certain time frames. They could run that. The talk shows from those time frames, like Donahue, even Oprah Winfrey. Oh my goodness, just the different ones. And of course, Johnny Carson, which I know that these stations are already running retro programming. Like they're running Sanford and Son and all that good stuff, Charlie's Angels and Golden Girls and all that. But it would be neat to bring it to this level and not have it constantly running back to back. Like, don't do 2 or 3 Golden Girls within a 24-hour period. Like, just run one show, then put another show in there, and then another, of a different variety, and kind of do it that way, kind of like it originally was, and keep it running like that instead of just constantly, which I know it's hard to fill in gaps and stuff like that with some of these channels that are starting out. But it would be neat, though, if this could kind of stick to a formula that kind of coincides with that time frame, and just not overkill, because it gets boring watching the same episode of Mama's Family or the same episode of the Golden Girls or whatever that you've done seen last week. Like, here's Monday again and you're watching the same episode that you watched last Wednesday. You know what I mean? Like, just switch it up a little bit better. And it would make it last longer and be more enjoyable. And then also the retro commercials. There's a neat thing that they could do with that. They could either, and or have a channels that just run retro commercials from a time frame, from a certain decade, just, back to back, all these different commercials that even if the products don't exist anymore, it would be neat to be able to go and watch that. Which I know YouTube, there's people with channels on YouTube that do that, but it would be neat to have it done in a professional way and have these it'd be like a professional type thing running these commercials, okay? And then another thing that they could do is get up with these companies, maybe, possibly, that still exist, that the product still exists for, and see if they would be willing to release those commercials, those old retro commercials, to be shown along with the channel that that it was designed for. So like 80s commercials designated for 80s TV shows, that stuff that still exists today that you can go out and buy, that people would probably prefer to watch that commercial for that than they would today's commercial for that product. That's how I feel with a lot of stuff that's out there. A lot of these commercials that are out there today, they're just too weird, too stupid, too ridiculous, just not what I really care to see. But yet, I've always liked the product and everything, but I would rather watch the old commercials from the 60s through the 80s or 90s of that product being shown. That would make me more willing to go out and buy it and be more tempted is if I saw those instead of the crap that's out there today. I mean, that's just how I feel. But I just think this would be a neat thing, and just have it, different from what they've already got, and just make it specific like that to where, it won't be back, all scattered out and all messed up. Like, it would just be, more of that. Like, like when you hit that button, that channel, if you're searching on, a place like Pluto or whatever, when you hit that, then say like, use this example, like all through here, that whatever shows on there, it's going to be from that time frame, for that specific age group or whatever, and that it's going to be neat. You'll discover old shows that you probably haven't seen for 30 years, that would be neat. And it would introduce children of today to the type of programming that we had back then that was really better for you. Yeah. And the neat thing about today, as far as the commercials goes, you don't have to worry about these groups unless they somehow can pass laws. But like, you can show all the sugary cereal commercials that you want to show, a candy bar and whatever that you want to show, as long as it's within, like, say, like, as far as beer commercials and stuff, I think that should be on the adult channel. I don't think beer commercials should be put on the children's and young adult channels. Now, I will say that. But as far as the serial and stuff like that, it can be shown on any of them. But hopefully you won't have people breathing down your back saying, you can't show that on your channel, and all that crap. That's what's been wrong with our whole system anyway. That's what killed TV, I think, was a lot of these stupid groups getting together, getting laws passed to ban this and ban that and all that. And then, of course, people got greedy and everybody wanted to go to cable and satellite, and we see how that's working out for everybody. I think that has, it's ran its thing, and now all these companies are grabbing for as much money as they can drain out of the customers as possible, as a last-ditch effort to get money. But anyway, that's a whole different thing right there. But I hope I have covered everything that I want to say, because I hate it when I cut a video off and then I remember that there was 10 different things that I wanted to say. But as far as right now on that topic, that's all I want to say. As for my new ideas upon an old idea that I had about the Tower TV thing, Tower TV. Now that everything is changing and I see that everything is moving towards the internet and digital streaming and all that, but yet I see these towers, these TV antenna towers all throughout the country, okay, in places where they're not even bothering to put cell phone towers, okay. And yet, this whole 911 system that they tried to push to knock everybody off watching antenna TV, and then these TV networks in order to get onto the cable and satellite so that they could get more money because they got greedy, and the ad revenue they were getting from using their antenna signals to your TV, all that wasn't good enough for them, so they wanted to go, which I guess I can't blame them, but still, the trickery is ridiculous. But they used the whole, we got to free up this stuff for 911 crap. And we all know that 911 uses telephones, or shall I say cell phones now, and computers and the internet to do their communications. Now, some use, I understand, in their vehicles, emergency vehicles use, the radio signals, the CBs and all that. But still, it does not take up all the stations that are there. I think it would be neat is if a company would come along and buy up these channels, these empty channels that and all that nobody's using. It's just wasted. It's just, buy those from these people that own the antenna towers, just like the cell phone companies are doing. A lot of them don't own those towers. They're just buying space on it. They're renting it. Well, that's what some of these internet companies can do now to save money, to offer prepaid service out here to people out in the country and all that want internet so that they can watch streaming networks like Pluto and all that. They could do that through this. It wouldn't cost as much to offer it, and people could get it. Instead of just relying on this new fiber optics crap that's coming through, that's going to be high. I'm telling you right now, when they run those fiber optic cables, you're going to be paying quite a bit for your internet. It's going to be anywhere from 40 to 60 to 80 bucks, if not more. And most likely, in some cases, more a month just to use their service. Personally, I think I would just rather be, especially if you're out in an area where you got all these hills and all this vast land out here, but you know that an antenna can reach you, a signal can reach your house where a cell phone tower can't. I would like to personally, if that were me, rent, or shall I say, buy a prepaid box and buy a card each month to add the minutes into that, to where I can and have it be good and reasonable, maybe unlimited internet, because I think that would be the best thing to do, unlimited, because they could afford, if they went that way, they could afford to do that. Okay, I feel like. In that way, you can watch all these shows and everything, and then you can afford, like, say, like if some of this stuff is free, like if these networks are listening to me out there, these streaming sites, and you want to do this, you know, it would be neat if you could offer some of this stuff free, just like Pluto's doing with some of their other channels and all that. And then maybe the stuff that you want to, you know, have people pay for it, like make it reasonable. You know, add it to your lineup, and then just keep your packages low. You know, $6 to $9, whatever, to where people can have that too, along with all this other stuff. I think that would be neat. I think it would change things up a little bit. I mean, this idea is not anything completely scattered away from what's going on now, but yet it kind of ties everything all together onto channels, instead of it being all scattered out all throughout the network. Instead of you watching one channel to get Sanford and Son, and then another channel to get Charlie's Angels, and another channel to get so-and-so, you can have it running on one channel that's within that decade, that's for that decade. You can have all these great shows from that era. I just think it would be neat. That's just how, you know, I feel about it. And yeah, what do you guys out there think? What are your ideas on that? Do you think I'm onto something? Oh well, anyway, we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.